Hello again, Michelle. With this, I think this is part 3 videos on service and how to navigate through these difficult times when it relates to service. I think it's March 17th, 2026 on a Tuesday, and it's extremely busy out here on the roadways because that's, like I said, people don't like to work on Mondays. But then when Tuesday rolls around, oh my goodness, it's like, everybody's in a panic, and everybody is, attempting to get things done and get stuff shipped out, get stuff picked up, and then it just becomes a bottleneck, unfortunately, especially with traffic. It just becomes a bottleneck. So you're going to have to prepare to sit in traffic for a while, and then take care of other business. And like I said, it's the transit ought to be a perfect alternative to taking some of these vehicles off the road. But no, that's just not how it's done. They want us driving vehicles. They do not want us taking public transportation. Do not be misled by that. They rather you drive so that they can sell these over-manufactured vehicles. In other words, they've over-manufactured, overconsumption of these vehicles that nobody will ever drive. And the crazy part of it is these vehicles are sitting in parking lots across countries, just sitting in parking lots. They got those parts that could be used on other vehicles, that could be used to prolong other vehicles. These vehicles are sitting in lots all across the country, even these so-called electric vehicles. Okay, just sitting there. And over time, as we know, with everything that's material, it becomes what? Worthless. It deteriorates. It loses value. It's waste. So, there's just a lot of components to all of this. But if you are, we need to get away from words that we continue to use. This is not a strategy at all. It's not about a strategy. It's about a resolution. And resolving these issues. Okay, there ought to not be a strategy behind it. It ought to be, consider the cause and effects if you don't, and then what will happen if you do. So that's how we ought to look at things, instead of worrying about scaling. That word, thank goodness people have probably figured out scaling meant really nothing. I mean, it's just a play on words, because it didn't have the results behind it. And again, we are all learning things, and we're all attempting to figure things out, and that's great. It involves thinking. Okay, it doesn't involve strategy. It involves thinking. This is not where I want to go. So, like I said, the traffic is so heavy that that's why I like driving through the city, so that I can figure out these back streets and back corners and blah blah blah. So it's not about a strategy. Okay, that's what chess ought to have taught you. When you're playing checkers, there's strategy and scale, but when you are playing chess and not checkers, you realize that it's not about strategy. And it's not about scaling either. It's about functioning, resolution, and cause and effect, logical, rational, and reasonable. And it involves, most importantly, thinking. So just be kind of gentle with yourself when you realize you have been just spinning your wheels for decades upon decades. Some of you 10, 20, 30 years in. And you realize that you've just been spinning and spinning and spinning. You thought you were getting ahead of the game, and you have been stagnant. Okay, you've been regurgitating. You haven't brought in any new fresh fuel or oil. You haven't brought in anything to help with the function of everything. It's like using old beaten up parts and think that they're supposed to perform like new. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop that right now, because I like to keep my eyes on the road, even though I'm used to multitasking. As a first responder, you definitely develop multitasking skills. Whereas you have to do that, at the same time paying attention and being safe and being concerned about everybody else, being considerate of others when you're driving, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love right now. And trust me, I will be back.